On October 26, 2025, LSU fired their coach Brian Kelly in the middle of their season. Instead of being shocked, everybody seemed to celebrate. There's reasons for that, a long list of them actually, and it was more than just wins and losses. Kelly's career has been a pattern of leaving teams behind, dodging accountability, and putting himself above everybody else. From small schools to national powerhouses, wherever he went, controversy followed. Today, we're going to go into the story of how one of the winningest coaches in college football history became one of the most hated, and how one man spent 30 years building up a bad reputation, causing everybody to cheer on his downfall.
Okay, and I went to sleep confident that Brian Kelly would be fired before I woke up in the morning.
Part of this makes me smile a little bit because he was so arrogant about it, about the transition.
I am so honored to be the head football coach here at Notre Dame. There's a football coach, and then there's the football coach at Notre Dame. Because nobody does it like Notre Dame.
What you've been at Cincinnati, Notre Dame, now LSU as a head coach. What stuck out about this job that made you leave Notre Dame in the middle of playoff implications? Obviously, when you left, that was a monster story.
Good.
Get to the question.
How do you keep this from snowballing?
It's not going to snowball. Next question.
Well, what exactly will be different, I guess?
There's nothing different. I go to work every day and I coach my football team. Is that good enough for you?
I remember Thursday he kind of brought in a tackling dummy with Brian Kelly's face on it. We all just started kicking and stomping and stuff like that.
If Brian Kelly's going to be a jerk, you better win. And the problem is you don't win enough anymore, big guy.
I don't like Brian Kelly because of his personality or how he is on the sidelines or how he is in a press conference. He's a good coach. But I think there's people who look at him and they don't like him because of his personality.
Brian Kelly from Everett, Massachusetts, started his coaching career at Grand Valley State University as a DB coach in 1987, then became a defensive coordinator in 1989 before becoming a head coach in 1991. He peaked as their coach from 2001 to 2003, where in those 3 seasons, he would coach his team to a record of 41-2 and won back-to-back Division II national titles in 2002 and 2003, winning Coach of the Year both years. His success at Grand Valley State naturally got him national attention from some Division I schools. A few weeks after winning his second Division II national championship, he got offered and he accepted the job at Central Michigan University. In 3 seasons at Central Michigan, Kelly didn't find as much success as he was used to, only getting 19 wins and 16 losses. Up until this point, Kelly has had some good PR, as he was just known to the public as a coach that could come in and turn his program around. But years later, Robert Saleh, who was currently an NFL head coach, told the story of when he worked at Central Michigan as a graduate assistant that might have people looking at Brian Kelly a little funny. He said that when he and Matt LaFleur, who was also an NFL head coach, were both graduate assistants for Central Michigan, they were invited by Brian Kelly to a party at his house. According to Saleh, he and LaFleur were invited, but they weren't on the guest list. Kelly actually invited them over so they could be workers. He made them shovel snow and then park all the cars of the partygoers, like valet. Then, at the end of the night, they had to go and get the cars again. This mistreatment would make both of them vow to never treat anybody the way they were just treated. Many people initially thought of this as LaFleur and Saleh paying their dues. If this was an isolated situation, this could have been true, but as we'll learn, Brian Kelly isn't the most morally correct person in the world. On November 30th, 2006, Central Michigan was set to play in the Mid-American Conference Championship game against the University of Ohio Bobcats. Central Michigan would win 31-10, earning themselves a spot in the Motor City Bowl. On December 3rd, 3 days after they won the conference championship, suddenly it was announced that Brian Kelly would be the new head coach of the University of Cincinnati. This move would come as a complete surprise to Central Michigan because they were still in the middle of their season, with their first bowl game in 12 years coming in a few weeks. Kelly was actually in the middle of contract negotiations, so Central Michigan thought that they were going to have Kelly for at least a few more years. Kelly never even told them that he was talking to other schools, which most coaches do. In an even stranger move, Cincinnati, who still had a bowl game to play on the season, had Kelly coach their last game, the International Bowl, which was against Western Michigan University. The motive here was clear once you learned that Western Michigan actually lost 31-7 to Brian Kelly 8 weeks earlier while he was coaching Central Michigan, so they thought they can get some inside information. The move paid off because Cincinnati would win the bowl game, but the manner that Kelly left was questionable to say the least, and it would become a pattern for him. In Brian Kelly's first 2 seasons coaching Cincinnati, you can see exactly why they hired him. Cincinnati hadn't had a 10-win season since 1949, and as soon as he came in, they had back-to-back years with 10 wins, leading them to back-to-back bowl games. 2009 would be his 3rd season with Cincinnati, and it would be their best season ever. They would start the season 12-0, and going into bowl season, they were ranked the number 3 team in the country. As the season was coming to a close, obviously, there were rumors that Brian Kelly, the hottest coach in college football, was being offered jobs by other schools. Kelly assured his Cincinnati players that he's more than likely gonna stay, but if he leaves, that they will be the first to know. Cincinnati played their last regular season game on December 5th, 2009 against Pittsburgh for the Big East Championship. They were next scheduled to play in the Sugar Bowl against Florida, scheduled for a few weeks away, and this was going to be the most important game in Cincinnati football history. On the evening of December 10th, Cincinnati was scheduled to have a team banquet where team awards would be handed out, but earlier that day, reports were getting out that Brian Kelly had accepted a job offer to go coach the University of Notre Dame. Reporters actually showed up to the banquet before it started and asked the players how they felt, but the players had no idea, and quarterback Tony Pike even said that he trusted Kelly, so he doesn't believe the rumors.
Tonight, breaking news about Coach Brian Kelly's tenure at UC. We don't know if it's true, but 2 sources and 700 WLW confirm that Kelly has already taken the job at Notre Dame. However, players tell us directly that Kelly has not told them anything. News 5's George Vogel tells us what's happening right now. That's our number 4 story.
It appears what's happening is Kelly has kept the players in the dark a little bit on this thing by not having a meeting this afternoon, because word is seeping out in South Bend through Notre Dame sources all over the place that this thing is a done deal. The players and coaches began arriving about an hour ago here at the Westin for tonight's team football banquet that should be used to celebrate an undefeated season and a Sugar Bowl appearance against Florida. Kelly himself just arrived at the Westin moments ago. I was able to fire a couple of questions at him. I asked him if there was any word yet. He said, no word, no word. I said, have you taken the job? He said, no word, no word. So Brian Kelly having no comment on the situation. Players we talked to, including Tony Pike, said the coach has told them nothing so far.
He told us that from the get-go that we'd be the first people to know whatever he decides, and you know, we're going to keep his word, and you know, we've trusted him this far, and you know, we're going to believe what he says, and you know, as far as the team goes, you know, we see him as one of the best coaches in the nation, if not the best. So obviously we want to keep him. We understand it's a business, and at the same time, you know, we want him here. So we feel he's going to make the right decision whatever he does.
The reporters waited until the banquet was over to speak to the players again, and the players told them that Kelly had just let them know that the rumors were true and he really was leaving for Notre Dame, and the players were not happy at all.
A night that was supposed to be about the accomplishments of those players turned into a night of what's next for the program. Minutes after UC's football banquet tonight, Brian Kelly told his players he's out of here.
To have him kind of walk out on us here at the end is very disappointing.
At the end of the day, it's a business, and that's what sucks about playing this game.
These comments were after a meeting held across the hall from where the UC football banquet had just concluded. The meeting didn't last long. Senior Marty Gilliard only stuck around for about 15 seconds.
Did you hear anything in that room when you just walked in?
I heard everything I needed to know, and that was I accepted the Notre Dame job, so I left.
Gilliard was named the team's most valuable player, but all of the awards were overshadowed by Coach Kelly's departure. A departure UC felt it could not prevent.
I think Brian would tell you it wasn't about what UC wasn't going to do. It was just the fact that he wanted to be at the University of Notre Dame.
Kelly wasn't talking to the local media.
All right, guys, let's go. Back it up.
Sir, you need to be out of here, please. No cameras in here. Sorry, guys.
So because of that, it was left to his former players to do the talking for him.
Me and Marty going to put the team on our back, and we're going to show y'all that Bearcats, we was the ones out there doing it, not him. Come on, bro.
Kelly will be introduced at Notre Dame tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. The Irish sent out a release shortly after Kelly's meeting with his players tonight.
The next day, he would have a press conference at Notre Dame, and he was all smiles, trying to woo the crowd, as if he didn't just let down the whole team and the entire city of Cincinnati.
I am so honored to be the head football coach here at Notre Dame. There's a football coach, and then there's the football coach at Notre Dame. Because nobody Nobody does it like Notre Dame.
And it's understandable why the Cincinnati players would feel the way they did. Like I said, they're about to play the biggest game in school history, and Kelly just decides to leave them high and dry. He could have easily left after the bowl game. Why he chose to leave before then, only he could answer that. Cincinnati would go on to the Sugar Bowl and got blown out by the Tim Tebow-led Florida Gators 51-24, and Brian Kelly moved on like nothing ever happened. As soon as he got to Notre Dame, however, his questionable morals were put on full display and tragedy would strike at the university.
And I heard a loud crash. It had been really windy and there had been some noise, so I didn't really think anything of it until I looked over at the gate to the practice fields and I saw people running out, looking a little concerned. And as I got a little bit closer to it, I realized that it was a little bit more serious.
On Wednesday, October 27, 2010, it was an extremely windy day, and Brian Kelly scheduled an afternoon practice for his team. He was 8 games into his first season as Notre Dame's coach, and the team was 4-4, performing lower than the standards that were set for him. Not to mention, they were just coming off a big loss to Navy, so this practice was mandatory. Despite the fact that the wind gusts were reaching 51 miles per hour and they were getting weather warnings all day, Kelly refused to cancel practice and for some reason chose to have the practice outdoors when just the day before they had practice indoors. Not only did he still hold practice, but he still wanted it to be videotaped. That's when 20-year-old Declan Sullivan had to take the practice from a scissor lift, which was fully extended to 40 feet in the air. He knew something was wrong as soon as he went out there, as he would tweet out his concerns. The first tweet was at 3:22 p.m., where he sarcastically said that today will be fun at work. The next one was at 4:06 p.m., saying how terrifying it was. Then, about 45 minutes later, at 4:50 p.m., a strong gust of wind came in and knocked over the scissor lift, and Sullivan fell to his death.
20-year-old Declan Sullivan was a videographer for the football team, taping practices from high above the field on what is called a scissor lift. On Wednesday, a message on his Twitter account just as practice began shows he sensed trouble. Gusts of wind up to 60 miles an hour. Well, today will be fun at work. I guess I've lived long enough. And then, just before the lift tipped over, holy blank, this is terrifying. Sullivan fell some 50 feet to his death.
And it's just a feeling of shock and sadness that I think is really shared by everyone across campus and the entire university community.
And questions too. Why was practice held outside in the wind when it had been indoors the day before?
Allegedly, Kelly saw the lift fall and had his team keep practicing until he finally realized the magnitude of the situation. The entire university mourned Sullivan, and they also searched for answers, as this was a completely avoidable situation. Notre Dame conducted an internal investigation which ended in 2011 and found that the main cause of the fall was the lift he was on and the wind. They also found that nobody on the staff was negligent and they just didn't have enough information about the weather. Brian Kelly was let off the hook, but no answers have been given as to why the practice was held outside that day instead of inside. This was a terrible introduction for him to Notre Dame. And when it came to football, his first 2 seasons were mediocre, going 8-5 both years. Then in 2012, his 3rd season, he managed to finally turn the team around, going 12-0 during the season, making it to the national championship game where they would get crushed 42-14 by Alabama. This season is important because this season, and the following 2013 season, where Notre Dame went 9-4, would eventually be wiped away from the record books. In 2016, the NCAA found that a student trainer completed coursework for 2 Notre Dame players and gave illegal academic benefits to another 6 players. These players all played during the 2012 and 2013 season, which led to the NCAA stripping Notre Dame of all wins from those seasons. That means that Brian Kelly's best season as a coach there was completely wiped from the record books. Once again, however, Kelly was never found guilty of anything in this case, but as a head coach of a football team, you would think that you would know how your players are doing academically. A lot of people find it hard to believe that a coach wouldn't be involved with a player getting extra help on passing classes, but Kelly escaped this one. I'm not sure if he was carrying any extra resentment from knowing that the school was under investigation, but during a 2015 game against Temple, Kelly infamously lost his mind on the sideline on an assistant coach named David Grimes.
Notre Dame sidelines. I don't know if Brian Kelly's fired up. Look at this.
Tripping. Offense. Number 72.
He was fired up with this is
second down.
He even had to come out and explain himself because he was facing so much backlash. He said that it was because he didn't want the team to get a penalty.
If we were to get a penalty in that time of the game, it would have fell on me as being somebody that can't control the sideline. So moving forward, we've made some changes to how we're going to do things on the sideline and how we'll have a better sideline situation. Having said that, I wish the situation never occurred. I regret that it happened. David and I have met. We have met about the situation, and we've moved past it.
This wasn't the first time he blew up on someone on the sidelines on camera. In a 2011 game versus University of South Florida, he berated wide receiver DJ Jones on the sideline after a drop pass that led to an interception.
Jones and Kelly might be at an all-time overcooked state right now.
In Kelly's defense, it wasn't just any old drop pass. Notre Dame was in scoring position in the third quarter when DJ Jones ran a route, but for some reason, he never turned his head to look for the ball, which led to the ball bouncing off his helmet and right into the defender's hands.
He grabs it. Brian Kelly was apoplectic.
These moments were just a tiny peek of how Kelly treated his players. His next few seasons would be okay, but without that 2012 season on his resume, his time at Notre Dame was adequate, to say the least, with a notable season in 2018. In 2021, Notre Dame had another good season, finishing 11-1 in the regular season, and were waiting for the NCAA selection committee to do the final rankings to see where they would place in the college football playoffs. On November 21st, 2021, Kelly was asked if he had any plans on leaving Notre Dame, and his response was no, unless a fairy godmother comes and gives him $250 million. On the afternoon of November 29th, just 2 days after the last game of the regular season, rumors got out that Kelly had been hired as LSU's next head coach, but Notre Dame's players had no idea about this and found out via social media. Sound familiar? At the end of the night, the players received a group text from Kelly to finally let them know that he was leaving, and he apologized for not being the first to let them know, and he will be flying back to Notre Dame by the next morning to meet with them to tell them all face to face. Flying back from where, you might ask? Well, that same day, he had flown out to Vancouver to meet with the high school player that he recruited to play for Notre Dame named Tobias Merriweather. Tobias and his parents invited Kelly to go over and eat barbecue and talk about Tobias' upcoming season at Notre Dame. Kelly, who showed up with 3 of his assistant coaches, stayed at the Merriweather household for 2.5 hours, explaining the ins and outs of Notre Dame. At some point during the visit, Kelly stepped out and took a 15-minute phone call and came back like nothing ever happened. Not once did he mention that he was leaving for LSU. They all sat together, and Kelly reportedly ate 3 servings of deviled eggs, barbecue shrimp, and brisket burn ends. Allegedly, Kelly left the Merriweather household at 5 p.m., and just minutes later, Tobias and his father Dom saw reports that Brian Kelly, the man who was just in his house recruiting for Notre Dame, was leaving to go coach LSU. They texted him immediately to confirm if it was true, and Kelly said that it wasn't. Even though now, Tobias and his father Dom said that they could see the humor in the situation, they obviously felt betrayed at the time, having gotten the news when they said Kelly wasn't even more than a half a mile away from the house. Kelly flew back to Indiana the next day and held a meeting with the Notre Dame players that only lasted 11 minutes.
I saw my time here as a blessing, working with incredible men on a day-to-day basis. But there comes a time where you look in your life for another opportunity. And I felt like it was time in my life for another challenge. And I saw that opportunity in a very short window and felt that it was best for me and my family to pursue a new challenge.
He then did a press run explaining why he left Notre Dame, and all you need to know is that he apparently went to LSU because of one word: alignment.
So much about alignment. And alignment, that alignment, my family's alignment, an alignment, the alignment, a great feel for the alignment and the alignment. The alignment. When you have that kind of alignment on both sides and with your family excited about taking this step, it made it so much easier of a decision.
He also gave conflicting answers on whether or not he had been to the state of Louisiana before.
The opportunity to be here was just a new challenge, a new opportunity that I saw coming down to a new part of the country that I had never been to. It was exciting for our family.
Look, I'd never been to LSU or Louisiana. As it relates to recruiting in the state, the talent is outstanding. That's why I've been in the state before.
I think it would have been much easier for him to just say that he left because his contract at LSU was for 10 years and $95 million, and a lot of people would have understood. He did an interview with the Associated Press and told them that LSU had players that wanted to be great, and he now has the resources that he needs to finally win a national championship. This had fans at Notre Dame feeling like he just threw his former team under the bus. That, on top of him, once again, leaving right before his team had to play a bowl game where they would lose to Oklahoma State in the Fiesta Bowl, left Notre Dame fans and players alike with a bad taste in their mouths. Former Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn said it the best.
He could have waited. He literally could have just waited a week. If LSU wanted Brian Kelly that bad, or let me put it this way, if Coach Kelly wanted to leave Notre Dame, the most tactful way he could have done it is say to LSU, look, I want to come there, you want me, let's just push this thing off a week, because if we have a chance to win, I want to go finish this job and try to coach this team to a national championship. And you should want that because you should want me to do the same thing if I'm in that position at LSU. That's just the proper way to do it. And also, though, for LSU, because he's already done this before to Cincinnati. He built them up, got them to a New Year's Six game, and then left before that bowl game. And then now he's become the all-time winningest head coach in Notre Dame and left again at a time where you're going, you could have just waited a week to see if they're playing for it. But now I kind of warn LSU fans, he's poked around at wanting to coach in the NFL at some point. What would exclude him from having a couple great seasons at LSU? And then he starts wanting to leave to go take an NFL job. That's where I just say if he just would have waited a week, I don't know that anyone would be upset about him wanting to leave for $95 million and where he feels like he's got a better chance of winning a national championship. That's his own prerogative.
If you're keeping track, this is now 3 teams in a row that he's bailed on before their bowl games. But you know what they say, how you get him is how you lose him. When Brian Kelly got to LSU, he instantly made an off-putting impression when the Massachusetts native allegedly used a fake Southern accent at halftime at an LSU basketball game.
Well, this is a great way to get started, and I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family, and we are so excited to be in the great state of Louisiana, but more importantly, to be with you great fans.
It was exciting for our family.
I'm here with my family.
We, again, having fun. In those first couple weeks, you went to a basketball game, the accented family. How much fun did everybody in the building have surrounding that? And did you try to fake an accent to say family?
No, I mean, who would, that's the stupidest thing to try to do.
I think I would try to do that.
I would try to do it too. I would try to do it every single day.
Accent? Listen, when you have a Boston accent,
yeah,
and you're in the Midwest, and then you go down south, you're going to be all messed up anyway. Mm-hmm. And I'm just trying to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
And
this might have caused the state of Louisiana to lose a little bit of respect for Kelly, and that lack of respect was shown when he lost his very first game at LSU against Florida State. After the game, the media showed up late, and Kelly joked that he would charge them $10 every time they're late, and one of the reporters said that if he wins some games, then they'll come on time.
We'll open it up to this late arriving media crowd that must have enjoyed the weekend. That's usually $10 that we put in the kitty. We'll have a big bash at the end of the year at my place.
Maybe if you win, I'll be on time.
I don't think it has anything to do with winning. I think it has to do with being on time. All right, here we go.
This was his welcome to LSU. They hired him for the sole purpose of winning a national championship, if not multiple, and they weren't going to be patient with him. Over the next few years, LSU was, once again, adequate, just like Brian Kelly's past teams. The records that they would finish with weren't bad, but they were looking to be great, and they just weren't. For as many wins as he had, Brian Kelly's biggest criticism is that he always had trouble against good teams, and at LSU it was no different. He would constantly lose in games that mattered, going 4-11 against ranked teams while he was at LSU, which kept him out of the college football playoffs. And he couldn't blame talent this time because he had All-American players Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and his best recruit at LSU, Jaden Daniels, who won the Heisman Trophy in 2023. The pressure was clearly starting to get to Kelly, who we started to see had more and more sideline outbursts than he normally has. On top of not meeting expectations, in 2025, Brian Kelly's name began to get in some more legal controversy as well. Back in August 2023, LSU defensive back Greg Brooks Jr. was experiencing headaches, dizziness, vomiting, and passing out during practice on multiple days. He would reportedly let the team coaches and trainers know and would continuously get cleared to keep practicing, with them dismissing it as him having vertigo. After 39 days, they finally had him see a team neurologist, and that's when it was discovered that he had a brain tumor. The team sent him to a doctor that performed surgery, but allegedly, the surgeon wasn't even qualified to do the surgery, and Brooks ended up suffering from multiple strokes and was left with permanent injuries. In March 2024, Brian Kelly was asked about the progress of Brooks, and he would tell us that he's recovering and he's now able to walk.
We know he's in intensive daily rehabilitation. He's up, walking, doing all those things, doing all of the occupational rehabilitation.
But this would turn out to be false, because in a February 2025 interview on Good Morning America with Greg Brooks Jr. and Sr., you could clearly see that Jr. was still in a wheelchair. Brooks and his family would sue LSU and the surgeon for negligence and would specifically call out Brian Kelly for not even reaching out to the family to check on Greg.
Greg Brooks Jr., starting safety at LSU, was at the top of his game. He was captain of the football team, starting 13 of 14 games he played. By many accounts, he was a prospect for the NFL.
I feel like this year is great. We have a better bond throughout the team, and I feel like it's going to be good.
But all that came to a shocking end when a sudden illness took him off the field.
Did the school or the coaches tell you about what he was going through?
Nothing. The one call that I received was, I need you to get here. Your son is having emergency surgery tomorrow morning.
Were there a point where you were concerned about who was in charge of that decision?
He's at LSU, one of the best colleges in the United States. Would I have ever thought that his best interest wouldn't be at heart? No.
So you didn't seek a second opinion?
No, sir.
Brooks claims the family was led to believe their only option was moving forward emergently with the brain surgery. Also alleging the surgeon was not qualified to do this particular surgery, during which Brooks suffered multiple strokes and was left with severe and permanent injuries. After radiation and chemotherapy, Greg, now 23, is cancer-free, but his recovery is far from over. Little Greg, as the Brooks family calls him, has had to relearn how to eat, write, and speak.
From the LSU coaching staff since October of 2023.
Specifically, Brian Kelly. My son almost lost his life, coach. Where were you? Forget about football. Pick up the phone and say you love the kid, man.
After the Brooks interview, Kelly finally acknowledged Greg publicly, but it seemed like it was just to clear his name.
It rattled me that somebody could possibly be so factually incorrect in stating that I was not part of Greg Brooks Jr.'s care and support. And the support was the entire university, the entire community. So I needed to make sure that that record was clear.
After this ordeal, Brian Kelly's reputation was in the toilet, and he was desperate to repair his image. He went as far as to hire an image consultant to improve his public persona. He was doing everything but winning championships. Once the 2025 season rolled in, LSU thought things would be different, or at least they hoped. They started the season 3-0, but that pressure was still getting to Kelly, and he knew this might be his last chance. In their third win, when they beat Florida, even though it was a win, he seemed very defensive when speaking to reporters.
I know you love these immediate post-game sessions, but What are you seeing with your offense?
Stop. Really? Is that the first question? We won the game 20-10. Try another question. What do you want me to tell you? I just laid it out for you. We played the game to win the game. We played the game to win the game.
All right, how about third down then? What is going on with third down?
It's one game. Last game, we were great on third down. You're looking at this from the wrong perspective. LSU won the football game. Won the game. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? You want us to win 70-0 against Florida to keep you happy?
No, I think people want to know why you can't run the ball, quite honestly.
We can run the ball. Did you see the last play of the game? That's all you need. You just need one. There's ridiculous questions. And I'm getting tired of it. That football team just worked their tail off to get an SEC win, and you want to know what's wrong. You know what? You're spoiled. You're spoiled. This team is 17-1 at night. 17-1. Give them some respect. How about that? Give them some respect instead of micro-analyzing every little thing. This is ridiculous. For a group of seasoned reporters, that kind of question is so out of line.
Coach Deshaun Spears, 2 interceptions tonight. It seems like he's worked into a role on.
That's a great question. Thank you.
After this interview, LSU will split their next 4 games, going 2-2, and that's when Texas A&M came to town. Now, they had just lost to Vanderbilt 31-24, and analysts were saying that Kelly's time at LSU might be coming to an end, so this game against A&M was a must-win. The game started off going LSU's way, and at halftime, LSU was up 18-14, and things were looking good for them. But in the second half, Texas A&M embarrassed them, going on a 35-0 run before LSU would score one more time with a minute left in the game. A&M was having their way out there, and LSU was unable to stop them. At one point, Brian Kelly was even seen yelling at his assistant coaches on the sidelines because he knew this game could seal his fate. The LSU fans in attendance were furious. Majority of the stadium left the game earlier, and the fans that were still there let Brian Kelly know how they felt when they started chanting, "Fire Kelly."
Well, 2 of the heroes for the Aggies tonight.
You could even see fans in the stands with signs that read, "Kelly gotta go," and they obviously didn't make these signs mid-game. They came to the stadium with them, so the writing was on the wall way before this. Right after the game ended, pouring some more salt in the wound was the Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry, who tweeted that LSU needs to rethink their actions after tonight's showing. The governor actually got more involved than you would think. The LSU Board of Supervisors is a group of 16 members that oversee all of the decision-making at the university. Governor Jeff Landry actually appointed 6 of them, and next year, when the current terms expire, he's going to appoint 4 more. And since the board has no permanent president, Governor Landry is now in charge of key decisions at LSU. The day after the embarrassing loss to Texas A&M, Governor Landry held a meeting at his mansion with donors, political figures, athletic officials, pretty much all the shot callers in Louisiana. The meeting wasn't about if LSU was going to fire Brian Kelly, but how. Firing Kelly would mean they have to pay him a $53 million buyout, but apparently paying that much to get rid of him was worth it to them because at 7 p.m. that day, they all left the meeting and officially made the decision to move on from Brian Kelly. The school's athletic director, Scott Woodward, put out a statement saying that they fired Kelly because he was expected to win multiple national championships at LSU, which he never did. Then, Woodward would say that he made the decision to make the change after the Texas A&M game, which is a funny statement because the governor actually didn't even invite Woodward to the meeting at his mansion where they decided to fire Kelly. Governor Landry was so angry at the fact that they had to hire then fire Brian Kelly that he said that Scott Woodward, who, remember, is the athletic director at LSU, wouldn't be allowed to pick a coach for them again.
We are not going down a failed path. Right now, we got a $53 million liability. We are not doing that again. And you know what? I believe that we're going to find a great coach. I mean, maybe we'll let President Trump pick it. He loves winners. You know? I'm not going to be picking the next coach. But I can promise you, we're going to pick a coach, and we're going to make sure that that coach is successful. And we're going to make sure that he's compensated properly. And we're going to put metrics on it. Because I'm tired of rewarding failure in this country. And then leaving the taxpayers on the foot, to foot the bill. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee and they're going to go find us a coach.
4 days later, Woodward would resign as athletic director. All of this because of Brian Kelly. Imagine your job wants you gone so bad that they have to get the governor involved. LSU is paying Kelly $53 million just to not coach them anymore. And unless they could find some private donors, that money is going to have to come from the state taxpayers. A great situation for him, but horrible for the state of Louisiana. Reports said that during his time at LSU, Kelly just never seemed to fit in, and again, they just couldn't get over this fake accent thing, which shows first impressions do matter, people. Over the years, Kelly has shown some questionable characteristics. He threw Notre Dame under the bus after he left, basically saying that he didn't have enough to win just for Notre Dame to make it to the championship game in 2025, which Kelly was never able to do at LSU. And that's why when he got fired, Notre Dame fans were quick to say, "I told you so." It wasn't just them. He left several teams in the dust and burned a lot of bridges. With him having the most wins of all active coaches in college football, he'll more than likely get another job, but teams have to know what they're signing up for. On the field, he's won many games, but always struggled when it mattered, still having yet to win a national championship. Off the field, he showed a lack of compassion for the people that played and worked for him, and it all came to bite him at the end. If it's one thing that Brian Kelly showed us, it's that talent can win games, but character is what decides how you're remembered. Thanks for watching. This is Sports for Days. We have more videos coming soon.